internal policies for the board's consideration. First, proposed bylaws. Second, mission statement and proposed performance measures. Third, proposed audit and finance committee charter. Fourth, disposition of real property guidelines. Fifth, proposed investment policy with internal control. And last, procurement policy. So do we have a motion to accept the revised documents that were sent through, I think yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, with a couple changes? Do we have a motion to accept? Okay, second?
Second.
Okay. Is there any further discussion or clarification what actually changed from the original board packet? Okay. So we have a first and a second, and all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay. None opposed. The resolution carries with the revised packet. And I'm not sure if this would be directed to Peggy or Joy, but once we're done with all the board meetings, if we could actually send out a packet of the actual final bylaws and all that to all the members electronically. I'm gonna ask you for it.
I have to update the website.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you for it anyway, because I try to keep a file of it, so it would probably be helpful, just hit all of the board members of all the different agencies for that we're gonna go through this, which all of these things we just approved. Thank you. Okay, so we're skipping on to committee structure, which is, again, I'm writing page 64 of our board packet. So it was earlier 60, if you're looking at the old board packet. It's now page 64 of the new board packet. So these were the recommended committee structure, not substantial change. Kind of Dave and I switched chairs in a couple areas, and we appointed a couple other committee members. Actually, I don't think we appointed anyone new. We did move building and grounds to IDA, so those are kind of what I would highlight the main changes with regards to the current committee structure. So that is page 64 of your packet. I don't think in the past, these are my appointments, so I don't think I'm looking for any motions and discussions, I recall. Correct me if I'm wrong. Summary of results of the confidential evaluation of board performance, which is the old 61, new 65 of our board packet. So there's a one-page document. Ed, you did touch upon this. I mean, we have the data in front of us. We have no somewhat disagree and no disagree, which is certainly a marked improvement from prior years. We do have like 15, which is the board has identified areas of most risk to authority, which works with management, blah, blah, blah. We have 3 somewhat agree, 8 strongly agree. So I think that's the only area where there's certainly not a majority, but a larger amount that don't strongly agree. Is there any more questions or commentary you'd like to make, Ed, that came from the committee discussion?
No, other than the fact that if you look at the 4 columns, there was the last 2 columns, which are leaning toward more dissent of different areas. There was really no checkoffs. So everything was pretty much in agree and somewhat agree. So I would expect any board of any volunteer board to have everything checked and agree right down through. When you look at the scope of issues this board handles, I would say that's not a good working board. So to have some areas for improvement with all the issues going on, that's good for us. That's good for us.
And I just remind you, if there's any issues that folks have that they'd like to discuss in private, I mean, we could go into executive session if there's any.
I think it was clear there were improvements from the previous year based upon board members' responses. Clearly improvement.
And a lot of it seemed to be coming from better communications was the underlying foundation behind the marketed improvements.
Very good. So old page 62, new page 66. Mr. Converse, the personnel committee, please update us.
Do we need a motion to approve the committee structure? Can we do that?
No, I asked that question. I appointed him, so I don't think it's a requirement.
One of the bylaws say we do, but I don't remember which one.
Well, okay.
I would move we accept the committee assignments as proposed by the chairman.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
one
in
of, I
favor?
can remember.
Aye.
yeah,
Doesn't
before-
hurt.
Yeah.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
One of them say it.
The committee structure that was appointed is approved.
And for ABO, I'll make a motion that we accept the confidential evaluation.
Okay.
That way it's on record.
Second for that?
Second.
Okay, all in favor to accept the board evaluation as presented?
Aye.
Okay, that's also accepted. I'll start erring on the side of caution and do some of those
Oh,
approvals.
that's fine.
I'm not used to government work. Okay, Personnel Committee, Mr. Converse,
So-
please update us.
Once again, at the end of the year, we always, just a little bit of history back for the people that haven't been here. When we transferred to the LDC and we moved out of the state retirement fund, we set up both a 401k with a match, and we also had reserved an additional amount at the end of the year that we could give discretionary amount up to 3%. So the committee met together. We felt that, with the workload and how staff have been working all year, we wanted to give them we recommend to give them the 3% for their retirement. We recommended to appoint Dave Zimbiak as a trustee, and on the pension, I also am a trustee on the pension plan. And I think we recommended to decrease the CEO's salary this year.
Yeah, cut in half of it.
Yeah.
And we recommended this to give Dave a 3% raise this year. And with that,
Okay,
we have the resolutions.
very good. So we have 3 resolutions in quick order to affirm what they just reported the committee recommended to the full board. So the first resolution is 11.04.2021.03, which is the resolution of the Jefferson County Local Development Corp. To make a one-time contribution of 3%, which is $17,405 to the Jefferson County Local Development Corporation 401k profit sharing plan for the plan year 2021. So do we have a motion to accept?
I'll move.
Okay, a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion or clarification of what this is?
Just a quick comment. I think of Dave's concern was that 3% is very much in pair or in line with counties' plan as well. And there's always a lot of concern about not being above or below, but not getting out of sync. So
Very good.
it's all a very good fit.
Any other discussion on this matter? So all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, the resolution carries. Next resolution, 11.04.2021.04, resolution to appoint trustee to the pension plan. Whereas the Personnel Committee recommended appointing Dave. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
None opposed, resolution carries. Last resolution, resolution 11.04.2021.05, resolution for CEO salary increase. Whereas the Personnel Committee met on October 22nd, 2021 to conduct the annual CEO evaluation, and whereas the Personnel Committee recommended a 3% salary increase effective September 27th, 2021. Do we have a motion to accept?
So move.
Okay, second?
Second.
Any discussion on this matter? None? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
None opposed, resolution carries. Council report.
Congratulations.
You've been anxiously waiting, Mr. J, where are you? I thought I saw you hidden back there. We didn't think you could hide, but you did.
That's it. Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you for the work you do every time you come here. It's great to have a board of directors like all of you, so thank you very much for the work you're doing. Lot of things to report on. First of all, CWT Farms has not made a decision yet. They're still waiting on the state, but there's been a little bit of a change in the proposal. They are proposing to double the size of their facility from 29,000 to 50,000 square feet. They'll increase their production from 15.6 million chicks a year to 36.4 million chicks a year. And of course, the total project cost obviously will be going up significantly. So we're working with them. They will be revising their pilot application. We'll have to put that through, to all of you again. But it's exciting, but at the same time, we don't have an answer. So we're still waiting for that information. On the solar decommissioning side, we're continuing to work on getting information ready to send to municipalities. One of the pieces of that, Jefferson County Farm Bureau asked me last night if I would write some policy recommendations on decommissioning plans that they can take to their annual convention in 2 weeks, which at that annual convention, their membership debates and then votes on whether to include things such as one of the big things that was discussed last night, the whole point about leaving infrastructure in the ground after a project has been decommissioned. If New York Farm Bureau were to adopt that, it would basically be somewhat along the lines of, that they would be opposed to having decommissioning plans include, allow for leaving solar project infrastructure in the ground after a project has been decommissioned. The reason I bring this up to you is what we're doing here in Jefferson County from time to time actually impacts things across the state through organizations like Farm Bureau. So hopefully our efforts that start in this room will have a ripple effect, not only just Jefferson County municipalities, but hopefully eventually across New York State. So it's pretty cool. We've done things like this that have started here in this room before, and hopefully this will be another instance of starting the ball rolling, if you will, to make things happen elsewhere. Next week, we are hoping that Jefferson County Board of Legislators will pass a proposal that Dave Zembeck presented to them on using the American Recovery. We've discussed this before on using the American Recovery Plan funds that the counties receive, at least part of them, for economic development. Within that is a proposal for $400,000 for local food resiliency grants, where we would administer grants going out to farms and ag businesses that produce local food. And we're right now gearing ourselves. We met yesterday to start to talk about how to properly administer those grants in hopes that this does happen. And just as a reminder, that would cover 3 different things: local meat processing, on-farm dairy processing, and local foods. Trying to increase our capacity here in Jefferson County to produce local foods for our local consumers. And as we can see, if you go to the supermarket and try and buy a turkey right now, pretty important. So we're also providing, just as a side note, I've been ramping up my messaging to the public about shopping local, getting local foods, and always maintaining an emergency food supply so that you don't run into those times when you might not find that turkey in the turkey cooler or whatever it's called. So it's, in one part, it's helping the public be prepared, and another part, it's good because we're trying to increase local food consumption. Let's see, November 17th, we're hosting a dairy farmers luncheon. Calling it the end of harvest luncheon. And what that's about is just to bring all the dairy farmers, it's designed for dairy farmers only, to bring them all together to have a lunch and an opportunity to have a casual conversation, if you will, about what's going on in the dairy industry, what have they experienced, what their concerns are, that type of thing. Not going to be any big presentations, just a very casual conversation amongst themselves and myself to say hello, because they've had a busy season. And Ed, I'm hoping I'll see you there.
Yeah, one suggestion, I know some of the notices that have gone is for dairymen, but I would always say open that up to aspiring dairymen, or, there may be a young couple out there wanting to get into a small scale. Anybody that's interested in becoming a dairyman, it's like, open that door for them.
Yeah. No,
It's a
that's
good
point.
network to get exposed to.
Yeah, that's a good point. And
Because when you read it, it's kind of like, well, because even when I read the notices, well, I'm not a dairyman anymore. I guess
Well,
maybe
yes, you are.
shouldn't be there.
Yes, you are. No,
You know.
I have been making this very pointed towards the dairy. It is our largest sector by far, and there's issues that they deal with that the rest of the ag industry does not.
Oh, I like that.
So,
Yeah.
this is the opportunity to try and sit down with them, depending upon how many we have turn out. So I'll be looking for you at that luncheon.
I'll be there. I got more time on my hands now, right? Yeah, right.
And then we're working with a site selector right now, looking for a place to put a project. Not a lot of information on the project. Probably it looks like a greenhouse type operation. So we've got a couple sites that we've selected. The site selector was pretty excited about what we proposed. So he thinks we'll be hearing from them. So we'll see what happens. But it's been very busy in the office and a lot of things going on. So
Wow, keep fighting the good fight. A lot of good stuff there.
we keep swinging away.
Wow.
Keep swinging away. So it's sometimes my desk gets buried and I start to go, okay, I gotta get this organized or else I'm gonna lose track of things.
It's deer season, you can't organize anything, Jay.
Well, yeah, this is true. There is that other factor playing into this.
Quick question about the $400,000 you mentioned on dairy milk production or cream
On
line.
farm, yeah.
Okay, on farm. Now, Lewis County, a lot of these people were sending their milk to Lewis County, having it processed and brought back to the farm. Would you exclude, let's say there was one person who wanted to set it up where people could do the same thing, but in Jefferson County, would that be excluded where it was off farm, it's centralized, where the farmers could take it like?
And I say
Because
that to differentiate from our commercial dairy processors such as.
And market it themselves too, so, but.
Sure.
And then one other thing is I think there's a show called Ag Mornings on TV. Have you ever?
Ag Day.
Ag Day?
Yep.
Well, they had a section on a college, and I think it was Minnesota, where they actually have a meat processing curriculum. It was kind of interesting to see what they did out there.
Yeah, SUNY Cobleskill actually does something very similar. They have set up a very nice meat processing facility, and they do have, I'd have to go back and check, but they, for the exact information, but I do believe they have meat processing in part of their program there. So it's a nice little facility that they have.
Jay, the chick, was it, the acronyms, CWT?
CWT codes,
which
yeah.
Phoenix Crawford is working together for years, you know.
Yeah.
We're competing for another site there.
Yeah, there's actually two sites, one in Ohio, one in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So,
Well, if they're gonna double the size, I mean, that's a bigger project now.
yes.
I would think that's really, that may throw location, geographical location being more significant, size related, it may make it even more competitive for us in Ohio and Pennsylvania.
My opinion is it tilts the scales in our favor.
Toward us, okay.
That's my opinion.
Okay.
On CWT, what type of new action would we have to take because they've enlarged it?
I don't think we would we?
Well, Jay said it has to come back in front of our board for the pilot. We
Oh.
agreed to a standard pilot, which was 15 years. Does it have to come back in front of us for the whole process of inducement and public hearing and all that? Or just
It's just an amended application, I believe. Justin, well, let's talk about it during IDA.
Anything else for Jay? Thank you so much again.
Thank you very much, folks.
Hey, manufacturing.
No, you're fine. Let me just grab my.
Yep, no, just, we're working on, there's been some movement on some of the committee members, so we'll look at, the council members, so we'll look at probably coming back and getting the, manufacturing, council, reinvigorated starting the first of the year in January. The only manufacturing activity right now, I mean, just broader, programs is, we're talking with Don Rutherford, and Marshall about doing a survey of manufacturers in Jefferson and neighboring counties about potential interest in using a common access rail spur. Now looking at that one moved to the park.
All right. Any questions for Dave and manufacturing?
How often do you meet with that? Is it a?
Well, about quarterly, we were meeting monthly for a while, but then it seemed, but then we kind of, with the whole COVID thing, kind of backed off.
So the rail spur you're talking about is going to be at the Renzi's site? That's the rail spur that could be used?
No, there's one we just moved, yeah, the one we just moved, it's now, I mean, it's not on Renzi site, it's next to it, it's a long rail drive. But we've been talking with Don Rutherford, the trust, and starting to have some conversations with CSX about help, but that there's, Roth has expressed interest in using part of that rail spur. But we also understand there's enough length there, we could, if we wanted to build a staging area there, it could be for common access, but we've got to.
But would something like, I mean, loading a rail car for grains, would that ever be a
I don't-
fit for that kind of?
No, I don't think there. I mean, some of that happens if you get to Massey Rail Yard, we can use silos and stuff. This would be more like a raised platform for people unloading trucks and transfer the trucks from the cars to the.
More of a pulling product off
Yeah.
than the
Yeah.
loading.
Okay.
Not that you couldn't, but.
Unloading.
If I might, one thing I